Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more.
We're live on another Thirsty Thursday, the best day of the week, because for some reason they called it Thirsty Thursday. I don't know what the history behind that is, but I'm guessing it's because Thirsty and Thursday start with the same letters. I don't know, fucking. I'm sure some internet troll will tell me back in 1870, after they were putting horseshoes on horses. What's that? My wife is behind the green screen, and she told me it's because you're thirsty for the weekend. And I agree. I am pretty thirsty for the weekend. But anyway, listen, guys, my guest tonight survived having his house completely destroyed by a tornado at 1 a.m. with his whole family inside the fucking house. Somehow, everybody made it out unharmed. Instead of moving on, this man built a business out of it. He's the founder of Edlin Tornado Solutions. He's a speaker, an author, and a guy who genuinely believes you can grow through the worst moments of your life. Welcome to the show, Jon.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Cheers, brother. I know you're drinking an IPA.
Cheers, that's right. Yeah. So good. I love how you were like, instead of moving on, he did this. But that is part of the process of moving on for me, man. It was like, the only way to move on for me was actually to do what I'm doing now. Really?
Yeah, I mean, look, when I was going through your stuff, and that's my first epic intro. I'm trying to do something a little new.
It was epic. It was really good.
Episode 155 or something. I'm like, fuck it, I'll try something new today, because I think it's pretty cool, man. Obviously, I'm sure at the time it wasn't pretty cool, but I think your experience and that's what makes us human, right?
Yep.
It's the experiences in our lives that end up taking us to a particular place that you didn't think you'd ever be.
That's right.
Now, before we get into the fateful day and everything that happened, talk to me a little bit about growing up, dude. You could talk about what area you grew up in, where you're at, what you got into, and growing up, man.
Yeah. So grew up in Kansas City, just normal suburban kind of life.
Chiefs fan?
A huge Chiefs fan, and so like
sorry about the Super Bowl.
Well, we had a few good ones before that, so
that's true.
Just try to
and
forget.
You fucked us up in the other one, so I'll give you that.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in the '90s though, like you had Joe Montana, you had Neil Smith, you had Derek Thomas, and all this stuff. So '90s was pretty good, and then like 2000s, we just hit a real bad spot until Mahomes came, and we destroyed the Eagles that one time. And then you destroyed us, so I get it. I'm actually listening. I'm listening to the Kelsey Brothers Audible book that they just came out called No Dumb Questions, and it's hilarious. So I feel like
really?
there's connection, right? Like between us now, because you got the Kelseys, that we can connect on.
He's a staple here at this point. He's just a beard chugging, bearded guy that just his pinky would be fucking hanging off, and the dude would still play, dude. I mean,
he's the best.
You gotta respect it. You always gotta respect it.
No doubt. Yeah, it's been a fun book to listen to. I think it came out on Tuesday. Not that I'm doing a plug for them, but if I am, like, they could send me some money,
I'll have to take a look at it.
Right? Yeah. So I just grew up in Kansas City, super normal kind of like suburban life, and just to tie in, because a lot of people ask, like, oh, you grew up in Kansas City, you grew up in Kansas, so you must have like been around a tornado or like seen a tornado. It's like, nope. And then even when they hear that I was hit by a tornado, they're like, oh yeah, Kansas City, you probably got hit. Nope. Got hit in Nashville. I moved to Nashville. So like I was in Kansas City, and then we moved out to Nashville in 2016, and then 2020 is when the tornado hit. So it's kind of ironic. It's like you come from Kansas, where everybody's like, oh, you're not in Kansas anymore, quoting Wizard of Oz and stuff, and then we actually get hit by a tornado in Nashville. So the irony's definitely there. And then we moved back to Kansas City here 4 years ago. So that's where I'm at now, is my hometown. So Midwest boy.
That's awesome, man. So that's got to be pretty fucking wild. So I've been to Nashville once. We had a meeting there for my day job, and it was wild, man. I mean, it was.
It's wild. Bachelorette party, party place.
Yeah.
And,
So like, I think our
yeah.
meeting was like on it was either a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and we go down to
Broadway.
downtown
Mhm.
Broadway
Yep, on
because we had a bunch of like our age. I work in the insurance world, so a bunch of our brokers were come down to here, this bar, whatever. So we went down, and it's just fucking mobbed. There's buses, there's live music fucking everywhere. And I'm like,
yeah.
and I come from Philly, and it's not like if you go to Center City, it's not like it's dead, but it's nothing like that.
Dude, it's an experience, no doubt. It is. And I literally worked right there off of Broadway. And so I worked for a SaaS company out there. And anytime clients would come in, they just, it was almost like we call Nash Vegas, because they just go crazy and they just be on Broadway. And there's literally Tootsie's. I don't know if you probably went into a lot of different bars and stuff, but Tootsie's has 3 levels, and each floor has a different house band.
I think we did go there.
Yeah.
I think we did go there.
Yeah,
that's where we did the Irish.
building.
We did the Irish goodbye there. Me and my buddy looked at each other, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting an Uber." I'm like, "I'm coming with you," because we were on our feet, dude. I was on my feet for it had to have been like 12 or 13 hours, and I would have been cool if I was in my early 20s, but like, I'll be 40 this year, so man,
I just turned 40 in April. So I feel you, man.
It sucks,
it's like,
doesn't it?
Yeah, you can't do what you used to, no doubt.
Yeah, on my feet, and at the time, I didn't know that Cole Haans were a thing, so I was wearing $50 slip-on dress shoes that are not good for your legs. And I was like, probably 50 pounds heavier at that time, so it was even worse on top of it. So, but it was wild, man. I mean, that I heard. At this point, they're like, I always say that they're up and coming, but they're there. Like, there's no up and coming. Like, if you're trying to buy a house in Nashville, it is not cheap.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, yeah, we were renting because we were just priced out of the market. And I had a good job, and we should have been able to buy in like a normal area. But moving from Kansas City, we owned a house in Kansas City, and just didn't have the funds to make it happen in Nashville. But we lived really close to downtown, like 10 minutes away from downtown. So so it was pretty cool, like to work downtown, to live close to downtown. Like it's a cool vibe, but it's also a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could. That's like for me as a destination. I don't know if I could deal with that all the time because let's be honest, people fucking suck. I don't want to deal with people all the time, especially because if you're dealing with Broadway, it's just like going to L.A. and going to the fucking celebrity walk, right, and seeing the stars and shit. It's the same concept. Except it's just all country bands and drinking. Whereas in LA, it's just like a lot of homeless people and the celebrity stars, But
I mean, it's fun when people like come into town because you can show them a good time. But day to day, you're just like, I'm not going to Broadway, So,
what's like in Philly? It's like you try to, if you come down here. Well, I guess in your case, if you come over here, it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna get a cheesesteak. Well, you're not getting it. Don't go to the fucking Pat's and Geno's. That's the place that you see on TV. You don't want that. That's not where Philadelphians go for a cheesesteak. And I'm sure if I came to you and said, hey, I want good barbecue, you're not gonna tell me to go to fucking Mission Barbecue.
Right.
You're gonna be like, everyone has their spots for certain places. I'm trying to think where I went. I was in Kansas City once. I'm trying to think where they took us for barbecue. What's like the 2 top spots?
Well,
that are like,
Joe's KC is so
Joe's.
good. Joe's KC,
Joe's
man.
where I went.
And they got the thing called the Z-Man. I don't know what you got there, but the Z-Man sandwich, I cried the first time I had it. It's so good. I'm telling you, man. It's ridiculous. That
place ruined me for burn ends.
Oh,
I didn't know because like we don't have burn ends in Philly, dude. And if we do, it's like if I type in burn ends in DoorDash, you're not getting shit. Like it like the beef just fucking melts in your mouth. It is like
that's what I'm saying.
If you're listening to this, get burn ends. I don't care where the fuck you are on the planet. Burn ends change your life. I'm thinking, I'm salivating just thinking about it.
Yeah. No, it's I even say it's a little bit like a Krispy Kreme donut where it does like melt. It just you put it in your and it just melts and
If it's good, it melts in your mouth.
Oh, for sure.
If it's like Arby's burn ends, it's not. You're gonna be like, like what are you doing there?
Yeah.
But all right, enough. I digress because that's what we do here on the fucking Drink O'Clock podcast. Take us back to 1:07 a.m. March 3rd, man. What's the last ordinary moment you remember before your whole life changed?
It's kind of an embarrassing one because
he's like, I was taking a shit, and it was a great shit.
No, that would be funny. No, it was so growing up in Kansas City, you know a lot about tornadoes, and you kind of like think, oh yeah, big tornadoes can come through and all that. But I thought I knew a lot about tornadoes, and literally that night before I went to bed, there was like a severe risk, and my wife was like, what would happen if we were in a tornado because we don't have a basement? And I was like, Nashville tornadoes, they just like skip on the hills. Like they're Nashville tornadoes aren't anything like Kansas tornadoes. Like they're just small little weak tornadoes. We literally live in a valley, so we'll hop over us.
Are you still getting shit for that?
Well, I should
100%,
be, but
100%.
Okay,
yeah, 100%. All right, go on.
No doubt. So I literally said that it's like 10 o'clock at night. Like kids are in bed. They're 5 and 7 at the time. Kids are in bed. We were watching, the news, and they'd mentioned that, and I was like, it's no big deal. So we go to bed. No worries. At 1 a.m., my alarm goes off on my phone, and it's like tornado warning, seek shelter immediately. Same thing. I'm just like, Nashville. You guys, like, I'm just like, whatever. I almost went back to bed, like, honestly. But I was like, I should probably get up and just check, So I turned on the TV, and it was the same meteorologist gal, and she was like, her eyes were big. She's like, there's a tornado on the ground in East Nashville. And we're 10 miles east of East Nashville, like exactly. And I'm like, okay, holy cow, like, because I could see on the radar, like, this is serious. So I kind of start to get a little bit panicky. I'm like, okay, we got to get everybody to the hallway because we don't have a basement. So put everybody, into the hallway. Kids are like not even awake. They're just like half asleep, It's 1 a.m. So there's like, and I'm thinking we're just going to kind of like be in the hallway, and then the tornado siren's going to stop and we'll be done. Like call the time, And as soon as I go to shut the last door, because like we were in this little ranch house and all the doors shut to the hallway, which ended up being good for us. It was an old house. And I was getting ready to shut that last door, and I could hear the sound. And they talk about being like a train, but it's more like 5 jet engines that like rumble your chest and just absolutely terrify you. Like, you're like, oh shit, like this is not good. And so I'm like, it's coming. I shut the door, jump on top of my little 7-year-old daughter. And as soon as I do, windows pop, 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 and my ears pop. And then all this wind it's just like overtaking us, and it's bouncing us back and forth in between the hallway. And I'm just like, this door behind me is going to blow open. I'm just going to be thrown into the front yard. And as soon as I thought that, it felt like 30 minutes, but it was probably like, I don't know, 6 seconds or 10 seconds. Then it was just done. And it was just silence, and everybody was okay. And I looked around, everybody was, we were all just kind of in shock at what was happening or what had happened. And
that's crazy, dude.
I was
that's
like,
so crazy.
What's going on? Like, this is like, you don't know how to process what just happened. It was insane. And so I opened up the door because I'm like, there's glass everywhere. I got to get shoes on, because you don't want to step on glass. Yeah. And I opened up the door to my kids' room, and it's like a movie scene. It's like orange sky, and all the trees and, neighborhoods just like look like a bomb went off. There's no ceiling. There's no wall. That's why I can tell you what the neighborhood looked like, because there was no ceiling or wall or anything. Like, it's just like crazy. And I just out of shock, like, just shut the door. And I looked at my wife and I was like, well, their room's gone. And I was like, maybe I'll check our room. Maybe I can get your shoes. So I opened up the door to there, and brick wall, boom, right on top of our bed. Ceiling's gone. Everything's gone. And I'm like, what are we going to do? So you call 911, right? Yeah. Well, they're busy because it just went through East Nashville. So I'm like, aren't we supposed to hear like firefighters and policemen coming for us at this point? Nothing. And we're just there, just alone. Neighbors aren't coming out. Nobody's coming out, and we're just sitting there alone in this eerie silence, smelling propane, cut wood, mud. I mean, just all the smells. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, it was just an insane experience, and a lot of shock, a lot of adrenaline, and then you just try to think through your options. And we had to get out of the house, but our driveway was completely blocked. There was a huge tree that fell on both of our cars.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And it's like, okay, so I call my cousin. Of course, it's 1 a.m., so my cousin's not answering. He lives just like 10 miles down the road, and he's not answering. So I call my dad in Kansas City, and he picks up. And I was like, Dad, we just got hit by a tornado. Call Jamie until he picks up. Call my cousin until. So he does. And then he finally texts me. He's like, okay, Jamie's on his way. Well, it took Jamie like 2 hours to get there. And when he did, he could only get like 3 blocks close. And so we're just like trying to like move the glass out of the way so the kids can like go back to sleep and kind of sleep in this like destroyed house. And then Jamie texts and he's like, hey, I'm 3 blocks up the road. I'm going to try to get to you. There's power lines down. There's trees down. It's just insane. But we just had to do the best we could, just try to keep the kids safe, holding them, walking them 3 blocks up the road to get to my cousin's car. And then, you know, we got to safety. So that was that night. It was crazy.
So for starters, the house had to be built pretty well that at least you guys in the hallway didn't get affected outside of just kind of getting tossed around, right? I mean,
well, I will say this. I will give myself some credit here, which is you want to go into the innermost part of the house because a tornado, the way that it works is like it'll take the roof and the top, you know, the top floors off, obviously, and then the side walls cave in or suck out. So you want to be in the innermost part, and that's where we were in the hallway. And so that is the good news. And it was, I mean, in a sense, you kind of get lucky too because it was an EF3, which is not as big as an EF5. So if we were like in the Joplin tornado, no chance. Like, that's over.
Wow.
You're done. So, yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it.
I've only seen, obviously, I born and bred here. So I haven't even seen it. I dealt with one tornado when I was maybe 7, and it had touched down like in our backyard basically, but it just knocked a tree down, like didn't do
smaller
that
like
damage.
A smaller one. Yeah.
We don't get that, like, because like Philly's not like inland enough to miss some of it, but we're not Jersey, you know, so Jersey gets hit with the brunt of it.
Sure.
We've seen a couple hurricanes where, you know,
that's serious though.
Yeah, where we were more on the outskirts. We weren't on the inside where we're getting fucking decimated.
I don't like all that water in hurricanes. Like, hurricanes terrify me more than tornadoes because of all that water. It's like you get hit with the winds and then it's like you got flood and you're trying to get it. It sounds awful.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd rather. You know, like, do you rather a fucking like Cat 3 or 4 hurricane or tornado? You know, so it's like we have a sump pump, so we actually live in an in-law suite in our house. We could live upstairs, but it's cooler down here. It's a it's a fully redone basement, so but we have a sump pump down here that has probably saved our lives a couple times from some pretty crazy rain. Because sometimes, dude, we get fucking wild. The Northeast is weird, okay? And I've talked about this on the podcast a couple times, but we get the worst of the weather. Now, we don't necessarily, like, we will get a tornado or hurricane. Like, we'll get those every now and again. But if it's hot, it's hot. If it's cold, it's fucking cold. Like, we get the worst of both. Like, and I don't know for you guys if it's been weird this year. Like, we had a week where it was 85 degrees, and then for 2 weeks straight, it was in the 40s and 50s in April. And it, we're like, I'm breaking out the shorts. I'm like, yeah. And then before you know it, I'm like, I'm still wearing fucking light jackets to work. And then we're at 98 degrees last week on Sunday, so it's like,
sheesh, yeah.
We don't get that middle ground weather at all here. Which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, it keeps you on your toes. And there's a lot of things, like when I think about, the people who live just in that 72 degrees, San Diego kind of weather. I'm like, you kind of miss a little bit of that extremism where you feel like, yeah, I'm going out, I'm putting on my coat, I'm going to go out in this 0-degree weather, like that kind of thing, which I kind of like.
I hate the cold, dude. I really do. You know what? As I've aged, snow has become a friend where it gets you. Because in the past, right, before COVID, if it snowed really bad, work would close. There was no work from home. They're like, hey, we're closed. You're getting paid. Hallelujah. So I'm like, I never forget. We had a snow day once, and the wifey's like sleeping, and they're like, yeah, no work today. I got the text, and I'm jumping on the bed, and I'm like,
best.
I'm like,
yes.
we're fucking yeah. And now it's like
those days are gone.
Yeah. Now, because I work in an office, so it's like, they're more likely to just be like, hey, everyone stay safe, work from home. But there's no, you get off and you get paid. That doesn't exist anymore, which fucking sucks.
I know. Those were the days. Oh,
Wasn't
my gosh.
it, dude? Like,
dude.
Our generation is like, I don't know, man. I feel like it's one of a kind. There's
It really
so many
is.
things we got to experience. I see a lot of TikToks, and maybe it's just because I'm nostalgic, but they show you things. It's like,
oh yeah,
you see like the AI videos where it's like life in the 90s, and they're playing Pokemon on their Game Boy, with a worm light, or they're trying to play it in the car with the street lights,
Yep. Yeah.
And I saw a comedian making fun of CDs. He was saying, "Hey, you don't fucking understand what we had to deal with." He's like, "We had the internet on a CD, and I forgot about AOL on CDs." And he said, "What the fuck did the CD even do?"
That's true. I don't know. Yeah, I just remember getting a bunch of them in the mail, and then, I don't even know what that was, but there was a lot of CDs.
AOL 3.0, 4.0. I don't really know what the fuck any of it did, but
and like Discmans, you're in the car, like you said, you're in the car, and then you hit a bump. It's like, bzz, bzz, and so you got to get like the 30x, skip protection, and that's like $80, or you could get the 10% or the 10x skip protection, and all those things are just so funny to think back on.
I'll never forget this. I don't know if I ever talked about this on the podcast, but I was my first job. I was a bag boy at Acme. It was I grew up in King of Prussia, so it was probably like 5 minutes from my house, not even. It was 10 minutes maybe. And they would have me do carts, which is the fucking worst. If you're a cart person, God bless you. Like, you're fucking out there, it's 95 degrees, or it's snowing, or it's raining, and you gotta wear a fucking tarp. It's just awful. Well, I was listening to Eminem. I think it was his first CD, and I had a Discman, and in order to get shit done, I would run around the fucking lot. Like, I wasn't like the generation now, dude. You see the fucking cartoons now, they're just like taking their time. No, I was jogging. I wanted to get that shit done ASAP. There was not a single fucking cart in that whole parking lot that I didn't fucking have put away. And I'll never forget, I'm running so fast, and it's just constantly skipping. Constantly. Every single time. And I'm like, oh, this is so fucking annoying. I wish they would change this. But here we are in the 21st century where you could just have magical music in your pocket.
That's right. Yeah, but we crave the vinyl records, even though, like, I don't know if you are, but I get the vinyl records, and I don't know why, because we have great digital music, but I'm just listening to the vinyls.
Here's my rant of this episode. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there'll be another one. There's just so much shit for you to consume now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, think about it. When we were kids, like, you had to wait for something to come on, and if you missed it, you're fucked. You gotta wait for a rerun. And now it's like I could tape live TV if I want, or I have literally every streaming show that you could think of. Like, I have Apple TV, I have Netflix, I have Peacock, I got rid of HBO Max because I'll wait until fucking Thrones comes out. But it's like there's certain things that I'll have, and I have access to 8,000 different shows and movies, and I don't watch a fucking 1% of it. Like, think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This world, man, the world we live in. I digress. So, listen, what did that first week after the event look like for you? I mean, where does a family of your size, like, if I'm guessing, like, look, if it's just you and your wife, it's a different story, right? I feel like it can be a little bit more adaptable. What's a family of your size? Where do you even go? Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something where you're really just trying to mentally process what happened, and then you have to do like the actual logistic things, like get a car. And so it's crazy because we're over at my cousin's house, and the kids fall back asleep, and the guest bed, and it's at that point it's almost 6:00 in the morning, and I'm starting to get texts from friends that are like, "Hey, I saw a tornado hit, around your house. Like, are you okay?" And they're expecting a text back to be like, "Yeah, well, fine." But instead, I'm like, "House is gone. Almost didn't make it out there alive." And then they're like, "Well, what can I do to help?" And so that's what I had to do, was like get a car, find a place to live. So we got an extended stay hotel place for like 2 weeks. Not ideal, like for a family of 4, but it worked. And then you got to remember, this happened March 3rd, 2020. So what happens 2 weeks later? COVID.
Oh, wow.
Which in some ways was nice because the whole world shut down. So I didn't have to go into the office anymore. I remember going back into the office after the tornado, and then 3 days later, they were like, everybody out of the office, like, So it was nice because then we got to do like just kind of all just be together, and we ended up renting a house down the road from where the house was destroyed. Because, I mean, it was completely destroyed. They had to, like, everything, total loss, everything inside of it. Even the things that we thought we could keep had so much insulation and stuff like that inside the cloth and all over the place. Like, we just had to throw it away. So it's like all that logistic stuff that happens where you're like have to kind of take it one step at a time and deal with it, but you're also like mentally trying to figure it out. So, crazy story. At 1 a.m. every single night for 3 months, I would wake up and I would relive the whole thing. And it was like on the dot. It was crazy. Like, I would wake up in like a panic, and I'd be like, "Oh, what time?" And I'd look at the clock. It's like 1 a.m. It was like Groundhog's Day. Like, it was just crazy. Like, it was every single night. And I would literally shake, and I would have to go like I would get out of bed, and because we were like in a little hotel, for a while, like I went to the bathroom and I just started putting in my notes section in my cell phone, like listed out everything that happened, like trying to take it each moment at a time because your brain's trying to process all that. So I'm doing that in the middle of the night, and I wake up in the morning and I got to like figure out, call insurance and get the kids all their different stuffed animals that they lost, and try to find those on Amazon and have them shipped to our house, and all these different things where you're also grateful that you didn't get hurt. I mean, this tornado was on the ground for 63 miles. It killed 25 people.
Damn.
So you're also kind of almost dealing with this survivor's guilt in a sense as well, of like, well, why did we survive? But then also a little bit upset because it's like, well, the house next to us, the way that tornadoes work, it's like the house next to us didn't even lose a shingle. And it's like, why couldn't we have been that house? So you got all these like different emotions that are happening on top of the fact that you have to logistically figure stuff out. And it took a long time for me to even be able to retell the story like I did to you. It took over a year because I had to end up going to counseling and doing this thing called EMDR, which is like this eye movement thing. I don't know if you've heard of it before, but it was crazy. No. But it actually unlocked the trauma in my body, and it helped me be able to like tell the story without shaking. So, wow. So it was a long road for sure.
Is it kind of like hypnotherapy? I've had a couple hypnotherapy people on the show.
Yeah, I mean, because like your eyes, you close your eyes, and for me, I think different therapists do it differently, but they had like headphones on. It was like beep, 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 back and forth, and so your eyes kind of go back and forth, just like I would assume hypno. I haven't done hypno stuff, but and then it allows your brain to kind of unlock that trauma, and then the counselor like guides you through and says, okay, like imagine you're on a train and you're driving past this memory of what it was like in the hallway, and then I have to kind of say that while it's beep, 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 just for like 2 minutes. And as I'm saying it, I had never been able to say it before. Like if somebody asked me that without the little beep, beep in my ear, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't even go there. My brain's like, nope, not going to say it. And I'll just be like, I don't know. I don't remember. But instead, like for whatever reason with that beep, beep thing, it unlocked it. And I was able to say it, and my whole body was shaking while I was saying it. And then we just kept doing, and we did like 6 sessions like that. And then after the 6 sessions, I was like, oh, wow, I can talk about this. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Wow. Look, man, I was going to be a psychologist growing up. That's where me and the wife met. I met her in college in a psychology
Nice.
class.
Yeah.
And it's an obsession of mine is learning how the brain works. And it's wild to think, like, especially now in today's day and age, we have all this technology, but it's something as simple as a beep beep and talking about it that can get you through a trauma. Where in the past they'd be like, well, here's a pill or get over it, be a man, right? And
Right.
Which
I wouldn't have been opposed to the pill. Like I wouldn't have been opposed to that, but I wanted to try this first. And a friend had told me about it, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I'm glad I did because it worked. I was surprised. I didn't expect it to work, but it did.
Look, I'm a big proponent of take meds when you need them.
That's right. Yep.
My stepdad growing up and my stepmom, who is no longer with us, had bipolar, and it never goes away, so they need meds.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody needs medication.
Right.
I'm all about talking it out if you can, but sometimes, man, especially when you go through trauma and shit like that, man, dude, the ego, all that shit just absorbs all of that. And then it just never fucking goes away unless you find a way to bring it out.
Right. Well, I mean, let me tell you like where I was like struggling the most. So anytime there was a severe weather threat that happened, my mind would literally just turn off. It would go into fight, flight, or freeze, and I would freeze. Like I couldn't think. So I remember I was in sales at the time. I was back in the office, because this is a whole year after the tornado, and I would be like on a sales call, and then I would get a little alert on my phone. It wasn't like tornado warning, tornado watch, anything. It was just like severe weather expected tonight, and I would just shut down. Like I could not do anything, and I have to tell my boss like I got to go. So I would then just lay in the bed. I would go home. I would lay in bed, shaking, and just refresh the radar until the storm passed for hours, like 4 or 5 hours. So that's where I was at. And then it was actually my barber who told me about the eye movement thing. And I was like, yeah, man, I'll try anything. So I did that, and it literally took that away. So big fan of that.
Wow. So how is it for you now? Like, do you still have kind of that a little bit of PTSD or?
Not at all, dude. So the way that I tested this, Twister, the movie, right, from the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And Twisters.
Twister 1 is the best.
Yes.
Is the best movie.
Right, but Twisters came out, the Twister 2, like a year ago maybe, or 2?
Maybe 2
in the
years.
theaters?
But yeah,
Okay.
it's
but
super recent.
That was my test. So I went to the movie theater, and I'm like, if I can feel all this with like all the, I'm like, then that EMDR shit worked, right? And so I sat there, and I'm like, let's go. And I came out of there feeling great. And I was like, done. Wow. And I would think about it. And, I'm, like you mentioned, an author, speaker. That's what I speak about. I speak about tornado safety. I tell my story all the time. And I wouldn't be able to do that without having gone through that. I watch storm chasing videos. I like whenever there's a tornado warning here, it's okay because, well, one, we have a basement, so that's nice. But we have a plan, and like we know about it, and I know when it's coming. And I've just I've really jumped into education, and I wouldn't have even been able to do the education if I wasn't healed from all the trauma, because my brain just wouldn't have allowed me to immerse myself in tornado education without getting past that trauma that was kind of the roadblock. So now I get to speak. I speak about overcoming adversity. I speak about tornado safety and training, especially to kids, and help them with their storm anxiety. Because a lot of kids have storm anxiety who've never seen a tornado, never been around a tornado, but they just, it can be scary in the middle of the night to hear loud thunder and hear the tornado sirens go off. That can be a scary thing. But if you know that you have a plan, your storm anxiety goes way down. So I get to see that every day, and I just freaking love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I have a buddy that I work with, Dustin, who is, shout out Dusty, who is afraid of heights. And dude, I flew with him. He white knuckles, as we're flying. And he's still, to this day, he's gotten a lot better because he flies a lot more. But he still, will get a little jittery. And he always ends up getting the flight that's just fucking stupid, right? It's has a pressure drop or something crazy. But
yeah.
he actually tried to get rid of his fear of flying by going skydiving. He's done it twice.
Yeah.
And
Love that. That's awesome.
It has not necessarily fixed it 100%.
Okay.
But it got him to the point where he has 2 Tito's and he gets on the flight, he's good, you know? But
that's amazing.
I think it's funny how, you know, if you have an issue like that, you just take it head on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, I'm sure everybody's different, but definitely for me, that was the way to go. And gosh, like so glad I did.
You know what we need to do? We need to get you in the Sphere in Vegas when they're doing the Wizard of Oz shit.
No, I 100% wanted to do that. Like I thought that would be. I saw a CBS Sunday Morning about it.
Yeah.
I love CBS Sunday Morning. I guess because I'm 40, right? And that's like you got to be old. So
you're it's not a 40
yet.
Thing to say.
You're
for
not,
sure.
Yeah, you're not 40. I'm over 40, so I love CBS Sunday Morning. But yeah, no, it was, and I was like, I gotta go, but I never ended up going out there. I don't think they're doing it anymore. But if they open that back up, man, let's go. You and me buying tickets to Las Vegas. Let's go.
100%, dude. So Vegas, you know, for my listeners, they'll probably, you know, they know that it's me and the wifey's favorite place to go. I love Vegas because we're not morning people. We're night people. We've always been that way. So like, you know, I like taking a nap at 7 p.m., getting up at 10, and then just going. Like, because if you're in Vegas, dude, there's no clocks. You don't fucking know what time it is unless you have your phone.
You don't know what time it is.
You're fucking gone. We the last time we were there, this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. We passed. We're like, we look at each other, and you know, we're in our 30s, so we're like, let's take a nap. We take a nap. We get up at like 10:30. We're like, all right, let's go gamble. You know, you just go down and gamble.
Love it. That's awesome.
There's just something special in my heart about Vegas. It's not quite like Nashville in terms of the streets, but the gambling scenario, which I love gambling. It's just a beautiful thing. I'm not a degenerate gambler, but I'm a degenerate enough to enjoy it, you know?
Right? Yeah.
And now it's everywhere. You can fucking gamble.
Oh,
I can
gosh.
gamble on like if I'm gonna fart in a CVS tomorrow on call sheet. You know?
Is somebody gambling on this podcast right now? You think like on what we're going to say?
100%. They're like, all right, tornado guy. How many times is he going to say tornado? Is it over under 10 and a half? You know.
Love it.
So, look. So you talk about the simple way to not just survive adversity, but to grow through it. Walk us through. You know, you got a lot of people that talk about that, right? Just grow through it. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I kind of had to go back and look at what were things that I did, like what were the beliefs that I had right afterwards, where I had to make a choice on like how this was going to define me. Yeah. And so, you know, I came up with this thing called the PSI Method. A little cheesy, but you know, that's just what you do. If you're going to write a book or whatever, you're going to make it cheesy.
Got to make it memorable.
That's right. So I wrote a book, PSI Method. It's on Amazon. If you know, type that in. So the PSI Method is exactly like PSI is going to be like a tire. You know, where you got to fill up a tire, the PSI.
Okay.
And after an
pressure per square inch.
That's right. You know it.
Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So, you know, like after an adverse situation, you might feel like your tire's deflated, like life's a little deflated. So you got to pump it back up. And the P is going to stand for power, which is I have the power to choose how I'm going to react to this adverse situation. So I had a choice of saying like, okay, am I going to play the victim mentality and be like, oh, so sad for me, I was hit by a tornado? Because I could have been, that was fine. Or I could say, hey, like this is something I'm going to learn from, grow from, and teach others about. And so you have the power to choose that. Then smart, I had to remind myself, that's what the S stands for, smart. Because I had to remind myself that I was actually smart because I was kicking myself for like not knowing enough about insurance, right? Because we're not all insurance people.
Insurance, I work in the Medicare field specifically, and it's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
It's not easy to navigate.
And so if you can imagine, like after you lose your house and you're going through this like traumatic event and you're scared of storms, and then you got to go talk to this insurance person who knows everything about insurance, and they're like, well, you got to fill out the PSI and the P, and I'm like, the what? And it's like all this stuff. But you got to remind yourself that you're smart, and just because you don't know everything about that area, you can find a friend who does, and you don't need to be kicking yourself because I got to go to bed. She's like, oh man, I'm so dumb. I don't know anything about this and that kind of thing. So there's a choice to remind yourself that you're smart. And then the I is for important, that you're important enough to get help, because I did wait a pretty long time before I decided to get that EMDR treatment. And I think that was just because I was like, oh no, I got to make sure everybody else is okay. Like, and kind of feel like I'm not important enough to work on myself. And so that's what I tell people is like, if you know somebody who's going through an adverse situation, make sure that you tell them, like, hey, you're important enough to get the help that you need. And if you're going through an adverse situation, remind yourself you're important. So it's power, smart, important. That's how you fill that tire back up. And that's just like looking back at what the past 6 years have been like for me. Those are the things that I had to do in order to overcome adversity.
That's awesome, dude. And I mean, look, think about it. Like, and you know, I have a lot of male listeners. So, we as males over the century, as well, probably forever, have been told, suck it up, be a guy, don't talk about it, don't cry. I know, you know, obviously more recently in today's society, it's changed quite a bit, but it's still be a man, suck it up. So, I always implore people, you gotta talk it out, man. Like, whether that's like, if you're afraid to go talk to a professional, at least talk to your significant other. If you don't have a significant other, talk to a parent. And if you don't have a parent, talk to a friend. If you don't have a friend, you should probably talk to a professional. You know,
right.
There's only so many
for
things
one.
you can go. Yeah, there's only
Pay
so many
for a
things you can go
counselor
through. You could pay for a counselor who can be your friend. You know.
Yeah.
But I think even just sometimes just talking about it can really relieve a lot of those things, because, you know, you might act out without realizing it. You know, in some cases you might wake up and just not want to get out of bed. And sometimes it's good to have someone you can text and say, hey, I don't feel like getting out of bed. And they say, hey, get out of bed, man. Life is good. You're good. You woke up alive, move on. And, I think that is important, you know, and look, not everybody has all of that, so I get it. But you know, if you seek it out, like, don't just ignore it. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I think that's good. And like you mentioned, for guys, for whatever reason, that's just been hardwired into us. But you can't do that. And I think that was a big part of it for that year for me, was just like, all right, like I'm the dad. I got this, you know, I got to be strong.
You got to be the strong one, right?
You know, you leave it to your barber to be like, bro, like, you can do this. And I think that's one of the cool things, just real quick also, like, if you don't have a friend, talk to your barber, right? I mean, it was the cool thing about in Nashville. It was a one chair barber shop, and I'd been going for 5 years. And the dude, his name's Stephen Mason, was just incredible, I mean, he's life-saving, and he knows it, you know, and in the book I say, like, be somebody's barber, like Stephen was to me, because, like, you never know. I mean, that I think that's an important message that I want to say, is just, like, look out for the people who've been through an adverse situation. Look out for the people who are struggling, and be their barber. Let them know that they're important, because, gosh, like, I needed that, and I didn't even know I needed it. But I was glad that he knew I did.
Yeah, and look, man, I think it's just about being human. You know, you know, I've talked about this on my podcast, you know, plenty of times. But my brother's an addict. He's 4 years sober. You know, I have a nephew now, and he's got a life. And I always tell him, like, hey, if you ever need someone, talk to me. And anytime I always try to be for some. I'm like a magnet for people when they have issues. I don't know what it is. I think I actually would have made a pretty good therapist in life. But I always tell people, man, like, look, if you're going through it, text me, call me, you know. And I think we as people, if you have friends or family that are struggling, just throw out that olive branch. You don't need to do much, you know. No. And you'd be surprised how many people will take it. That's right. Yeah. Yep. I love that. And I think that we need more of that in humanity. And with social media and the presence of people being happy all the time, that's bullshit. It's always bullshit. You know, not everybody's happy 24/7, but they have to throw a smile on, you know, just to make sure that the listeners are like, oh, or their viewers are, you know, great. I'll be the first person to tell you if I'm in a fucking bad mood. Half the time, if I'm in a mood, sometimes I'll get in a mood to a point where I'm like, I don't even feel like doing this podcast. And I'll like, hey, something happened at work, and I'll cancel because I'm just, I can't. So before this podcast, I streamed, and streaming video games is just a different beast. And I always tell people are always like, oh, you made money doing video games. And yeah, that's the concept, but you have to be on 24/7. For sure. Right? Yeah. And you're a sales guy. I was I did sales for most of my life up until recently, and you have to be on. Yeah. And if you're off, you're not making money that day, or if you are, it's not much.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. 100%.
And there's nothing you can do about that. You know, it's like, so just, I think the point is just go fucking talk to people. And
Yeah.
it's important as we as humans, you can't necessarily go through everything in life alone.
That's right.
So now, when did the idea for Edlin Tornado Solutions click? Was there a specific moment? Did it build slowly? Were you thinking about it, after you did your treatment? Like, how'd that come
Yeah.
about?
I mean, I think it definitely built slowly because the organization that I was in had a lot of young dads, and a lot of them came out and like helped clean up the house and all that kind of stuff. And then I'd be eating lunch in the cafeteria, and they'd be like, "John, like I can't even imagine what I would do like if my family was hit by a tornado." Like, and they would ask me all these questions, not about adversity, but like about like literal like logistics, like where would my family go and all that. So I was hearing that enough to be able to write kind of this, I wouldn't even call it a book. It's like a small little pamphlet called the Tornado Survival Guide, but I made it small on purpose so that like dads would just like read it while they're sitting on the crapper, you could just read it that fast, right? It's like a pisser book, I guess is what they call it. And so it doesn't take very long to read. And it just kind of interweaves my story, but then like talks about the myths and talks about exactly what you would do. And I just did that on Amazon and just put it out there. And people were still like, yeah, but like you said, I need a go bag, like to pack everything. Like what would go in there? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, do I have to do this for you? Apparently I do. And so then I did, and I created like a tornado go bag. And so then now I got this product that's like this tornado go bag. I got speaking engagements and I got a book. And I'm like, let's just make Edlin Tornado Solutions. So it did kind of like evolve into something. And so now you can get the Tornado Go bag, you can get the Tornado Survival Guide inside that bag, and I did a recording of like 6 video sessions so people can go even deeper. That comes with the bag as well. So it's like the bag comes with education, it comes with lantern and first aid kit and all the stuff, that I wish I would have had. So it's like a pre-packed bag, so you can just like get it and forget it kind of thing. So it's been fun because I think it's hit a need that was out there, especially for young dads who wanted just to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. You're a survivor. Tell me what to do, and click, and they can forget it. So
That's awesome, dude. Now, Melinda and the kids live through this with you, dude. So how do you feel like it's changed your family?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, it is interesting. Even we were talking a little bit where I started to talk about vinyls, vinyl records a little bit.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there was a time, I feel like I'm just now getting to this time where I'm not thinking about everything that I could lose in a tornado again. And I've seen that with the whole family. It's like we're not super materialistic and haven't been, especially early on. It was like, well, should I even get this? Because it doesn't matter, which is it's a good thing. And it helps you like prioritize everything. So I feel like going through something like that
saves you some money.
saves you some money and just a
Funny
bunch
side.
of junk, and just like filling up with a bunch of junk because like in 3 seconds it can be gone. So I think there's been that, and then also just this idea that you can take something like that and get on the other side and help and save people's lives because of something you've been through. And then the other thing that I would mention is the community. Seeing the community come around us and the people just who came out of the woodwork right after the tornado was incredible. And incredible, like just an amazing, beautiful picture of humanity and a society that's there to help others, even when they didn't know us. Like we'd always go to the house and there was probably like a dozen people there cleaning up that we didn't even know. Wow. It was humbling. It was just incredible. So I think that kind of look on life has been incredible for all of us.
Yeah. Do you have any mementos from the house? Were you able to keep anything that you still have today?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because in the moment I didn't want to keep anything. I would just want it as like, I don't want to remember this happened. Yeah. But one of my friends texted me. He's like, make sure that you take like a brick, because when we found out like the house is going to be completely demolished, he's like, take a brick. So I have a brick, and it's actually, I can see it right over there, and I'm so glad I did. Yeah. So I got the brick, and then honestly, not a whole lot else because nothing else was like, I could keep. But I'm glad that I grabbed that brick, and I'll always have that brick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it reminds you of the fragility of things, I mean, I guess we get so set in our ways, and it's very quickly, life throws people for loops, man. Yeah. I think it's never just look at all the things that our generation has been through, man. I mean,
COVID,
between
9/11. Like I was telling my
9/11.
kids kind of what it was like at 9/11, like what was that day like? And I was like, look, thinking back, I was like, that was crazy. And I was just in Kansas. I can't imagine people who are closer to the whole thing. But like for me, it was just, dude, we've lived through some weird stuff.
Where were you when it happened?
I was in school, like I was
Yep.
it was sophomore year of high school, and I remember that first hour, like it came over the speaker that this had happened, and then all the teachers were watching on TV if we could get like the TV on in there, and it was just the weirdest feeling to the day. And I remember walking home with my friend, and I was like, well, I guess we're going to be drafted into the army, because like we just assumed this was like World War III. It's like,
Yeah.
well, all right, I guess I don't need to plan for anything out of high school because I know where I'm going. And yeah, it was just a weird day.
Wild time. Yeah, I had my dick in my hand. I was taking a piss. they went over the loudspeaker, and I guess they
In
made
high
the
school?
announcement in high school.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was in marketing. I took a marketing class. It was an elective. And I was taking a piss, and I walked back into the class, and they had, I know kids listening to this. We had giant tube TVs that had straps on them on a fucking rack.
No doubt. Yeah.
That
that's right.
they rolled into the room, and you're
mhm.
like, I'm like, what the fuck? Why are we were just learning about something else? Why are we watching this?
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
and we actually watched the fucking second plane hit the tower,
Oh my gosh. Wow.
and we're just like, what? And I go home. My dad's like, "You're not going to school tomorrow.
Mm.
I don't know what the fuck's going on, but you're not going to school." And I think a lot of people just didn't go to school the next day.
Yeah.
So wild to think what our generation. Now we didn't live through a world war technically, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
not World War II people, but stock market crash after that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, COVID, the pandemic. I mean, that's changed a lot of things. So I always tell people, man, it's being a millennial, which is technically, I guess, what we are.
Yeah.
It's just a wild phenomenon that we all the crazy shit we live through.
So true. Yeah.
Now, what is a common misconception about tornadoes that you think actually gets people hurt?
I think it's that it won't be that bad. Kind of like how we started off a little bit, the conversation where you said like, oh yeah, I had one, it was in my backyard and it just snapped a few trees. And sometimes that's, people just take that and they're like, oh, that's all there is. And I kind of was doing that same thing too, where it was like, Nashville, like, they don't have big tornadoes.
It's just going to bounce off the mountains.
Right. And so it's just that like, you're just assuming that's what it's going to be. Or when the tornado sirens go off, you assume like that it's going to be real small or whatever. But the thing is even if it was small, like if you understand tornadoes, you can understand it can start off as an EF0, the smallest one, and grow to EF4 or whatever, which is going to be extremely violent in a matter of seconds. And so you literally don't know what's going to go roll over top of your house until it does. And so just a lot of the misconceptions just like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It won't happen to me. Or if it does, it's going to be super light. It's no big deal. But man, when you're in there in the moment and it's rolling on top of you, you're like, I wish I would have been prepared. Like, I wish I wouldn't have believed all these myths, that kind of thing.
Can you explain what's that system? What is an EF for?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
so
what does
EF
that system look like?
So it stands for Enhanced Fujita Scale. It's actually a really interesting story about the guy, Ted Fujita, who is the one who came up with that scale, like I think in the 60s. It was just called the Fujita scale back then. And then with more technology and everything, they kind of had to make it more Enhanced Fujita Scale because they could kind of like determine, it's like a hurricane scale. It's like determine the wind speeds and the destruction that was done. So you have, like everybody's familiar with the 2011 Joplin, Missouri tornado. That was an EF5. It was gigantic. And it was just like mowing down houses and just throwing cars and semis. I mean, that's super rare. That only happens once or twice a decade, thankfully.
Wow.
But then your EF0 is going to be like what was in the back of your house. It's like 65 mile per hour winds and knocks over a lawn chair. And you're like, I survived a tornado,
Yeah, you're like, yeah, Philly.
So you got, 0, 1, 2, and then a 3 is the one that I survived, which will, like I mentioned, like take apart your walls and your ceiling and all that kind of stuff. Then the EF4 is going to be obviously in between the 3 and the 5, which will toss some cars, like lightweight cars, and it will do a lot more damage than the 3. So it's just kind of like understanding how quickly these can change. And a lot of times they don't know, like when they're looking at the radar, they don't know if it's a 1 or 3 or 5 yet, and that it can grow. They don't know if it can grow or if it can't grow and that kind of thing. And so you really have to take it seriously because it can just change in a moment's notice.
That's crazy, man. All right, well, let's end on this. You had 5 minutes, basically, right? From warning to impact that night.
Yep.
For someone listening right now, they don't have a fucking plan. Maybe they're in Kansas or they're in who God knows where. What should they do with their next 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm. So as soon as there is a warning on your phone, you need to get to the innermost part of your house or the basement or somewhere, right, away from windows, because that's what kills people in tornadoes is the debris. And so you have to, ideally, you'd be thinking about that now. Like listening to my story, I hope that you're taking it seriously and you're like, well, where would I go in my house? You know, and so you know where you're going to go, because obviously that can help you get there a lot quicker. And then if you have time, like you're going to want to grab your laptop. Like I didn't have my laptop, it got smashed. You're going to grab like keys and wallet and those types of things that literally are just scattered across your yard and you can't find them. So you're going to want to have those things with you if possible. I've heard some people say like open up a window so the windows don't pop. And I'm like, that's stupid. Like you don't want to spend your 5 minutes opening up windows, because here's the thing. Windows open or not, they're going to pop. Like
if they don't pop, the wall's going to smash in or it's going to fly.
What are we trying to save here? Like a little window? So don't do that. Don't run around and open up windows, but go ahead. And the main thing is to get in that innermost part of your house. And then if you can, like have a hoodie, like cover up, get shoes on, those types of things, get mattresses, blankets, whatever you can to keep from debris from hitting you. So, you know, that's the number one thing. Just protect yourself from the high winds.
And you had mentioned your to-go bag. Is there like kind of a set couple things that you think everyone should have in their to-go bag?
Yeah, it's definitely first aid kit, because if you get cut, like you're going to want to have gauze pads and, just a good first aid kit. And then light, even though you have like your phone, for us, like one of the things that was kind of sad is like we had the light on our phone and we would like walk around trying to find stuff, and then the kids are kind of like left in the dark, So I wish we would have had like a lantern so that we could have had an area where we all were, where there was enough light. And then a whistle. A lot of times I say like throw a whistle in there, because if you're underneath, if you're trapped underneath, you can blow that whistle and emergency crews can find you. So those are the three main things that we pack in our tornado go bags. Of course, you can add all sorts of different things, like a dog's leash if you have a pet. Those kinds of things are helpful. But for the most part, you just want to make sure you have quick access to first aid and light.
That makes sense. And half the time, you're not thinking about that shit, man. I'm cozy here in my basement. Like, I'm not thinking about making sure my dog leash is in there, or,
Right.
Like I have a first aid. We have bandages and shit, but I don't think I have a legit first aid kit here. So, great stuff, man. Great stuff. Well, look, tell my listeners, where can they find all your stuff? I know that your book is on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. The Tornado Go bag, they can just buy on tornadosmart.com. tornadosmart.com, and you just go there, and it's like I said, one click, you get everything you need, get it shipped to your house, and then you set it, forget it kind of thing.
It's the way to do it, man.
To be smart,
Great
right?
idea.
Be smart around tornadoes. tornadosmart.com. That's it.
Dude, love it, man. Love it. And then and your website too. Plug your website.
I got jonedlin.com, just my full name, JONEDLIN.com, and then tornadosmart.com. You can go there as well.
Well, if you ever need somebody to do an audiobook for your book, you let me know. I would love to do it for you.
I like that.
I just say that because I'm an audiobook guy. I listen to audiobooks every day. So you should definitely think about doing that. And I got the wifey listen to audiobooks, which she said they're not books, and I beg to differ on that, but we'll have our argument after the fact.
Love it.
Now, my podcast is Drink O'Clock Pod on all socials. Drink O'Clock Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'll have this up soon, man. It was a pleasure having you on. And shit, dude, you got me thinking about fucking tornadoes now, so I got to make sure I have a to-go bag. So
love it. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Have a great night, man.
You too.
where legends unfold. There's a podcast that's breaking the mold. Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more. We're ready for more. With a mix of folklore and rebel cheer, we'll guide you through tales of whiskey and beer. From Irish shores to lands afar, grab your friends, it's time to raise the bar.